What's going on, you guys? We are on the watch list live. We're going to come around every once in a while, let you guys file in. We've got more news stories to talk about. I feel like I'm already screaming. I'm trying to calm down with all this yelling. Glad you guys are here as you file in. Yesterday, we jumped on as well. So welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What I say? What's up, Ma? It's been a while, you guys, so I'm still not used to the flow yet. We'll get going as you guys come in. There's lots going down. Actually, there's one particular thing going down that I want to talk to you guys about because it's just kind of fun. Steve Bannon is where we're is the subject of discussion today. So I'll let you guys come in before we get a chance to get started, because right off the top, it's probably the most fun part about this whole thing, because as you guys might know, along with Donald Trump and also along with Rudy Giuliani and all the rest of his associates involved in many different illegal activities throughout his time in office, Steve Bannon is yet one of these as well. He's going to be taking his ass to prison too, but only for a few months. We'll get those details in a second. Again, as more of you guys flow in, the subject matter today is Steve Bannon. Night Parade Dragon checks in first. What's going on, you guys? Good to see the Dragons back in the house again. So as you guys come, Steve Bannon is the subject of discussion today. Don't want to go too soon before you guys get a chance to see the beginning of this, because there's stuff about this that I didn't know was the process. Man, I'm loud, aren't I? Kind of loud. Let's calm down. Stop yelling. Everybody can hear you. So we got a few coming in. Yeah. I see some watch list colored hearts. What's going on, Sarah? Good to see you guys. A couple more seconds, and then we should make it happen. James, what's going on? Bill Moore, what's going on with you guys as well, too? Things are going down for Steve Bannon. You know what? I have an idea. Let's just go ahead and get started, because I want to tell you guys what's been going on with my man, Bannon. Hold on, we don't need to. Let's get going now. How about?
Steve Bannon denied his request for the so-called Club Fed when he's forced to report to prison. Sources telling CNN that the longtime Trump ally will not get a cushy prison assignment, but is likely to serve time in a Connecticut prison where he could be placed with violent criminals and sex offenders, a prison that does not have individual cells, but rather an open pod layout for inmates. And CNN is learning tonight that there is also a chance Bannon could be sent to New York City's infamous Rikers Island. Let's go straight to Caitlin Poland. She broke this story. And Caitlin, I mean, this is a significant development, not at all what Bannon was hoping for or frankly seemed to be expecting.
No, not at all, Bannon. No, Aaron, not at all what Steve Bannon was wanting here. He had expected, and his lawyers had expected, that he's nonviolent. He had not had any prior convictions. And so maybe he would go to a prison camp, very minimal security in the federal system. That's not what's happening. He's being told now by the Bureau of Prisons that he will be going to a low security prison. So he's behind the wall is what they call it. It's different than a camp. It has more confines for the inmates that are kept there. Also, violent offenders can be kept in a low security prison like the one Bannon is going to be reporting to in just a couple weeks in Danbury, Connecticut. But Aaron, the reason is because all of this is complicated by a case Steve Bannon is facing in New York, where he's going to trial on this accusation of defrauding donors to a foundation he was on top of. That is not just complicating things with this. It also means that if he's behind bars in the federal prison, whenever that case goes to trial in September, that's when he may have to be in Rikers to attend that trial.
What's going on with Steve Bannon? He's caught himself those cases, and one of those particular cases being his ignoring of the subpoena for the January 6th committee, defiantly, loudly, talking about it on his show, barking about it in the streets, having press conferences. He's very bold about it because I'm not sure if he didn't expect to go to jail or prison over this, but now he's surprised, a little bit upset, pissed off, if you would, over consequences for his actions. I'm still not sure how they didn't realize that it would happen this way. I thought they were going to go about this and say, yo, we're just going to go to prison, be what we call political prisoners, and we're going to come out with a revenge tour. That still is the plan, of course, but they still seem surprised that they got to this point. But the one thing I want to highlight again that they just pointed out on that CNN report really fast with Aaron Burnett was he expected or hoped and begged and asked, pleaded, first of all, for it to be dismissed, of course, and all that, and extended past when he's supposed to report, which is July 1st. He also then went in and asked to go to the cushy club fed version of a jail instead of an actual prison behind the wall, as they pointed out there in that video. So, tough guy, Steve Bannon, likes to talk about how he's going to be a political prisoner. Well, bro, be a political prisoner. Stop being a soft political prisoner that wants to go to Club Fed where you can hang out with other softies and act like you've served some time. Serve some time then, bro. And if you're upset about it, there's this one saying I always hear from conservatives. It's something about not doing crimes if you don't want to do the time, something like that. Maybe you guys can fill in the blanks for me. I can't remember it completely. But what really stuck out to me more was when I think on an evening show from CNN as well with Abby Phillip. Enjoy Abby Phillip and her work. They actually showed some more of Steve Bannon's raging. And in fact, I'm gonna wrap this whole thing up with the back end of Steve Bannon raging more about this because he's mad about having to deal with consequences for breaking the law multiple times, which would be the reasons why he may eventually get shipped around and end up at Rikers. Personal opinion, I don't think he's gonna end up at Rikers. They're not doing that to these guys. Let's go to this next video here from Abby Phillip where she's talking about what this guy is in for. Oh, not that one. No, not that one. That one's going to be later.
Steve Bannon's hard time is now looking a little harder. Sources that the Trump ally won't be serving out his prison time in what's known as Club Fed, the most comfortable type of facility in the federal system that he actually had wanted. So he likely will spend time in prison in Connecticut, where he'd be placed with violent criminals and sex offenders. It also doesn't have individual cells, but open pods for inmates. There is also a chance that Bannon could be sent to New York City's infamous Rikers Island. Now, all of this comes as Bannon is now painting a clearer picture of what a second Donald Trump term could look like, or at least what he hopes.
So she's about to go to his where he's ranting and raving and yelling, as I mentioned for a second earlier, about what it is that he wants to do because of the consequences of his actions. Let's go.
It would look like. At a conservative gathering in Detroit, he gave a blunt but chilling warning that a day of reckoning, quite literally, is coming.
November 5th is Judgment Day. January 20th, 2025 is Accountability Day. You're going to get every single receipt. And to the fullest extension of the law, you are going to be investigated, prosecuted, and incarcerated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. Victory or death.
Victory or death. Thanks. I'll leave it up for a second. Since we're running to more of this. Victory or death, says Steve Bannon, because he's still living in the past through slogans and things like that, because they call themselves patriots. I'm going to jail. I can't believe this. So he's screaming at the Turning Point Action Conference in Detroit right after Trump visited that black church with all those white folks inside and ran over and did their actual reasons for being in Detroit, which is to shout and yell about how they're trying to take over the country and how they're going to get their revenge on everybody who did them wrong, being the justice system. Never had any issues with the justice system before, from what I heard them talking about. I remember Donald Trump talking about how we need to be punishing criminals, which people aren't criminals yet, just when they're getting arrested, throwing them in the back of squad cars. Make sure you're not careful with their heads. They didn't give a damn about prisoner safety, people that are getting sent off to jail. In fact, they hoped for more punishment for folks once they get to jail. But not when it's them, it's how dare you. Please send me to Club Fed. I don't want to have to be around other criminals. Bro, you're one of them. Just saying. You might end up with some like-minded people. Matter of fact, Lev Parnas, who was an associate of Rudy Giuliani, who also has his own legal issues going down, he was on this same program with Abby Phillip, and he talked about that this guy's going to have to put up with in prison.
If you sleep on your side, I bet you hate your...
Hold on, this lady's talking to me. It's the same thing that we've seen and heard about other folks having to put up with when they go to prison, but for some reason they just figured they would never have to do such a thing. Let's watch this really fast. Here's Lev Parnas on CNN talking about, since he did do prison time, by the way. Lev Parnas did do some time in jail, so he's talking about some of the things he's gonna have to see.
Cool. Lev, we appreciate you being here. You actually, because you've spent some time fairly recently in federal prison, I wonder, what do you think Bannon can expect?
Oh, well, Steve Bannon is in for a wild ride, I could tell you that much. First of all, the fact that he's no longer going to a camp, but is now going to a minimum security prison, it's a big factor, you know, when it comes to safety, when it comes to the type of inmates you're with, and and the very big that you have. And the number one thing is you're behind the wall and not outside the wall, which is now you're actually in prison. But besides that, like you said, Steve Bannon has a lot more things. He has a case coming up soon, so you know he's not going to have that much time to settle in, as they say, in prison. He's going to be moved to go to either Rikers or MDC in New York to stand trial for the state case, and that doesn't happen by the night before, where they send a car and pick you up and drive. System where you might end up in Oklahoma, and it might take you 20, 30 days to get to that other prison. So Steve Bannon is in for a wild ride, especially in the low security prison in Danbury.
So, I mean, obviously Bannon wasn't just a Trump ally. He was actually a key official in the Trump White House for a time, and you've yourself worked with former President Trump. What do you think that Trump and his allies are actually going to do in a second term? When you hear him talking about it that way, do you think that he means that literally?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anybody that knows Donald Trump, and I know Donald Trump very well, he's very vengeful. He doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. You could just take a look at how he acted in the past, and take a look at the people that he's looking to put into positions of.
I think you guys know some of the people that he's looking to put into positions of power from all kinds of aspects, actually looking to fill the swamp with all kinds of people who actually hate this country and want to do destructive things to it, only in their God's name, Donald Trump. That's the entire point. That's where this is going. It's also why they're so upset that now they're being sent off to prison, trying to switch this narrative to make it seem like, yo, it's a great idea to go to prison. That's on the surface. That's when they're talking to cameras. That's when they're in front of press conferences, the way that Steve Bannon likes to do. But then when he goes in court, when he goes and speaks with his attorneys and begs to judges about going to Club Fed rather than actual prison for doing actual things, suddenly they're softies. Again, I mentioned that before because I want to point out these badasses that like to think they're patriots. Give me liberty or death. They're like, no, give me Club Fed, please, is actually the question they're asking as he raises his musket with his stupid ass hat on. Give me Club Fed, please. And then they're afraid. And when they get in front of their crowds, they scream about how they're going to go and murder people in the name of Donald Trump and looking for more political revenge. Later on through this, they talk about Rudy Giuliani. I'm trying to skip this quickly because there's so much that Lev Parnas went and revealed here. And I thought it was pretty great because sometimes we forget about what the once, I guess, heralded mayor, America's mayor, is also seeing some is going to be looking at some prison time as well, potentially. Again, we don't know yet, but Lev Parnas had something to say about that too.
You know, obviously a conviction.
Meanwhile, your former partner and all of that, Rudy Giuliani, has been charged yet again. This time it's in Arizona for conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. We have his second mugshot up there on the screen. He says he'll be vindicated. How do you see what the consequences will be ultimately for Giuliani?
I said it before and I'll say it again. I think prison is where Giuliani's going to end up. I mean, just even recently as today, the bankruptcy court, the judge is getting fed up with the way Giuliani is dealing and not dealing actually, or giving records, which could eventually lead to other charges of fraud and stuff like that. So I think Giuliani is down a very deep spiral. He's let go, doesn't care. And I think he's going to end up in prison.
When you see people like Bannon and Giuliani, so many other.
Rudy Giuliani ended up in prison, he says as well. Of course, we don't know about his legal opinion on it. We'll see where that goes, especially since Lev Parnas was a part of many of the dealings that Rudy Giuliani dealt with. And now I think he spent 20 months in prison himself. There's one, I guess, popular culture factor to this whole thing. That prison out in Connecticut that Steve Bannon has to go report to. I believe it's July 1st. Apparently, this was the prison that was inspired for the Orange is the New Black series from Netflix from back, you know, however many years ago that came out. This woman, Piper Kerman, she served a year in Danbury for her role in a drug smuggling ring. So that's her memoir, was based off of apparently serving there. But there was a woman that served there. I'm not sure if they have separate sides or different prisons there, but Apparently, reportedly, he's going to that same prison out in Connecticut rather than Club Fed. Now, just in case you guys wanted to see Steve Bannon rage more than he was at that TPUSA event, because maybe that was just for show, the reality of this guy is he likes to threaten people straightforward in his camera because he thinks Donald Trump is going to have his back and save his ass. That's the reason why they're still voting and trying to go hard in this direction for him. Here is this guy, really, really bad.
You shredded the Constitution. You went after the platform. You put people in bankruptcy. You're trying to take law license away. You people are on attack because you control this apparatus and you're destroying the United States of America. How do I know that? Look at the southern border. Oh, by the way, 53% of Hispanics want mass deportations. There's a new day dawning, baby. Sorry you don't like it. Did we make you cry? When you saw the speech, did you cry? Did you curl up? Suck on your thumb, get in the fetal position? We're sad. We're sad over MSM. Nicole Walsh got the sad face. Don't be sad.
First of all, the projection is real. This guy's been crying for months about how he has to go to jail and face consequences for his actions. Continuing.
New day dawning in America. We're happy. MAGA's ascendant. And don't lie about it. Everything's going to be within the restored Constitution, the Constitution of the United States, and the rule of law. That's what you're worried about. You know about your crimes. Why do you think McCabe? We're having serious conversations behind the scenes about leaving the country. Why are they talking about leaving the country? Why are they talking about running? Why? Because you know the crimes you committed. You understand what treason is and the treasonous activities you've been doing. And we're going to be relentless on this. This is a process. Trust the process. Is Rachel sad? It's unbelievable. Oh, this is not a response to anything. You don't think it's a response to anything? It's a response to the destruction of this republic. And here's the beauty of it. All you talk about is democracy, democracy, democracy. You know why they're worried? They've seen the crosstabs, baby. They've seen it. They understand we're ascendant. We're going to get 50% of the black male vote. We're going to get an overwhelming majority of the Hispanic vote, Asian Americans, the white working class, the middle class, students, people under 29 years old. It's all coming our way, and they know that. That's why they're worried. They thought their plan to steal the election and then to destroy MAGA and destroy Trump and send Trump to 700 years in prison and bankrupt him, their plan, and thereby grind MAGA into the dust, is the biggest single epic fail in American history. You failed. Why? Because just like in 1775 and 1776, patriots fought back. The DNA that comes down from the revolutionary generation inspired this generation and generations all working together, including young people.
So the generations are coming to stop this. We got the 50% of black male vote. It's all coming down for us. We're going to get our revenge, take it out on everyone else. And it's all with those same kinds of lies where you flip reality on its head. You say justice is actually you subverting the Constitution, some reconstruction of the Constitution to fits whatever needs that they need, because we've seen them talk about it. Check out Project 2025. Inserting people, as they talk about draining swamps, inserting people that are complete loyalists to one particular guy. If that sounds like America to you, you haven't been paying any attention to what it is that we've been touting kind of in a dishonest way for so many years. The equality and opportunity and upward mobility in this country. Well, if you're not on board with the types of authoritarian power structures that they're looking for, they have no need for you. And if you actually want to stop them from these types of actions to go towards subverting elections, this guy's still talking about a stolen 2020 election. Still talking about that. It's been adjudicated a million times over. People are going to jail for the thing that they did, that they admitted to, and who they worked with. By the way, that second thing that he's going to be on the hook for, outside of his ignoring this subpoena for the January 6th committee, so he wouldn't have to tell all the truth about what it is that went down and what he planned that day. What else he's going to have to deal with is the Build the Wall Fund. If you guys forgot what that was, it was when he defrauded a bunch of MAGA supporters out of all kinds of money for building a wall that is not built, and a wall that wouldn't have, even if people were all aboard and letting Trump try and build this wall. Even if so, he took too much of the money and spread it around to him and his buddies rather than putting it towards the actual wall fund. They defrauded their own followers. So the same idiots that gave up their money to then be taking, and then he steals it from you, and now he's on the hook for that, and you're celebrating him for taking your money and then having to go potentially face consequences over that one as well. He's going to use you to be the next step in case they lose this election. Then his foot soldiers back in action again. There's a reason why they cultivated certain kinds of people to follow them. They need them to do whatever it is they want at any point. They can do them wrong the way Donald Trump does everybody wrong. Donald Trump was called Steve Bannon some crusty, old, dirty, disheveled person before when they had their little dust up. They don't actually care about anyone within their own boundaries or within their own room, in these rooms of criminals trying to plan something. They're all just self-serving criminals. And now they're looking to get as much power as they can to take over as much power in this country to then exact revenge on their political enemies, as well as their media enemies as well. We've seen them talk about it. When they say things so blatantly and straightforward, maybe listen to them. But it's a problem. After July 1st, we can't listen to Steve Bannon for at least 4 months because his ass is going to be sitting in a prison hanging out with other criminals. Probably going to be a pretty cushy situation still for him anyway. But according to Lev Parnas, there's a possibility that it won't be. Just like most people when they talk about violent criminals, how about these guys who are promoting and pushing for future violence? Yo, I hope it's horrible for you. Just like what we say about every other criminal that goes to prison that did that stuff. I hope it's horrible for you. I hope you're bunkmates with the worst guy that you can possibly be next to because you're a really bad person. You hate this country. So while you talk about patriots and you're actually looking to turn this country into some bastardized form that Donald Trump dreamt up because he didn't get everything the way he wanted it, I hope you enjoy your time in prison, Steve Bannon. In fact, I hope you don't. These guys are garbage. They're anti-American people. That's why they bring up 1776 and patriots all the time. Fine. Take your ass to prison and see how you like it there. It's been 21 minutes. I'll see you guys next time. It was supposed to be a little bit more of a lighthearted approach to the way Steve Bannon's going to jail, but these guys annoy me. Nobody's afraid of you. We're just looking to stop you because we know what you want to do. Hope you guys have a good day. We'll see you guys later. Tomorrow's Juneteenth, you guys. We're not going to be around, of course, because TYT, we celebrated Juneteenth with the day off to celebrate another form of freedom that these folks don't want anything to do with. So we'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys had a good time. We'll talk to you soon. Glad to see you. See you.